RMBI gene, here to take you on another level and new horizons.
Hey everybody, welcome to the YouTube channel for Reggie, Simply Straight Talk. I hope you're enjoying the podcast posts, the audio versions of the show with me, Angelique. I'm gonna get Melissa back, I promise. And also, I want to say thank you guys for all your support. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And would love to get more subscribers. So please share this with other people who you feel will benefit from it or interested in the conversations and things that I talk about. First, I want to talk about young black people or black people in general who have become influencers in high profile positions. And I thought about this video after watching Simone Biles and everything that's going on in the, surrounding her. Now, I'm not going to touch on everything, but when the Olympics started, Simone Biles was automatically plastered as the voice, the focal point. She was any and everything for the Olympic team. Everything was put on her shoulders. The motivation, the inspiration, the teaching, the influencing of everybody else on that team was all thrown on Simone Biles' shoulders. Now, keep in mind, Simone Biles, is only about 24 years old. She's accomplished great feats in the gymnastic world, in that sport. And that's a lot for somebody. And people say, well, she's grown, she's 24 years old. When you're 24 years old, you haven't lived. You're still young. And I think that's something that our young black generation has to be taught how to deal with, because the black community has never really had people of influence to carry that weight. Since we're talking about Muhammad Ali, James Baldwin, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. Even when you think about the 1980s basketball tournament, when we had the 1980s Lakers taking on the 1980s Boston Celtics with Magic Johnson, Magic Johnson, Kareem, Byron Scott, James Worthy, AC Green for the Lakers, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. I know I'm missing somebody for the Boston Celtics. Because there are very few black proficient influencers in this world, the black community goes two ways. Either we adopt anybody who has a slight bit of color in their skin that could possibly identify as black, because we want that we want something or someone to identify with, or we put so much weight on people that actually are black that it is a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. Kamala Harris, what's the girl name who married the prince over in London? Megan, I can't think of her last name. Megan, the girl who married, the prince over in England. You're talking about people that's like a third that don't really classify as black, but because they got a little bit of color, we're saying, oh yeah, cheer them on, but they're not cheering for you. But we got people like Simone Biles, who was basically carrying the weight of a team, of a race. And I think we put a lot of pressure on certain black people when they're going into a field that is predominantly white and saying, okay, you are now going to carry us. And there's no real emotional support for these people. There's no real emotional support. I think Simone Biles had a lot, because all the news media was painting her as, she was the foundation of that team. That's a lot of weight. That means every time she stepped out on the gymnastic circuit to perform and compete, she had to be perfect. There could be no mistakes, because she was the foundation. Being black, I think, is very hard to look at TV, look at media, look at social media, look at the news, and don't really see ourselves as truly being identified. I think when the movie Black Panther came out, that was revolutionary. And I saw one movie critic, what's his name? Chris Stuckman, who said he didn't understand the hype of Black Panther. And that's because he critiques a movie from a world that us as black people, he's not familiar with. Because in his, and this is no offense to him, Chris Stuckman has seen his people in movies as superheroes throughout history. Not only in TV, but in real life. Not only in big screen, but in altogether real life. Whereas black people, we at one point could only cheer for white people because that's all there was. And then when we got Black Panther, it was like, wow. It's a tough line because I think a lot of black people who are in entertainment don't want to get too close to the black community or be known. Like, a lot of black people out there right now who are rich, who are famous, they walk a line. And it's a line they don't want to cross because they don't want their career to be hindered. They don't want to be known as the black activist who truly supports black movies, black communities, black people. They'd rather do things behind the scene. And that's how they'd rather do it. They'd rather do it behind the scenes, rather keep it low key, because I promise you, there is a fear that you will become typecast and you will be admonished. We can't use you. You're too black, because the white audiences want to identify with you. It's a tough line, but white people can do black movies and white movies, and it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't matter what color you are. If you're a good actor, you should be able to do any movie if you fit the role, and you should be able to support your community without fear of being labeled or judged, or fear that you're going to cause a riot, or fear that you're going to stand for social justice. But it's unfortunate, but that is what we have in today's society. You know, and a lot of people don't like this conversation because they say, you know, there are plenty of people to look up to, but you have to understand that when you're a black person and you're looking in this world, and when you turn on TV, 1 out of 40 TV shows, you can say, oh yeah, I can kind of identify with this TV show. And the TV show is normally something to where it's buffoonery. You know, you got the father who's an idiot or acts like a jerk or arrogant. Most of the black TV shows are black people being involved in drugs, black people being involved in businesses where they're killing each other. And people don't want to acknowledge stuff like The Cosby Show, Parenthood, that painted blacks as being intellectuals, having normal family homes with normal family problems, and dealt with them in a way that didn't involve guns, drugs, sexual addiction. And like I say, Tyler Perry, granted, he's making his money. He is doing things, but Tyler Perry's movies come at a cost, because Tyler Perry movies stereotype black people as being one way, drama-filled, sex-addicted people. That's what Tyler Perry movies promote about the black community. They do. And it's just the truth. But the thing about it is, we are now getting back on track. We're now a race of people that where we are starting to really look for somebody who can represent us in a positive way. And when people do step out, or people do, you know, reach that level to where, wow, we have a young, strong black woman that's in gymnastics, and the weight of the black community is now on her shoulder. The weight of that sport is now placed on her shoulder, and there's no emotional support to balance it out. None. There's no emotional support. She should not be carrying the weight of that team. She should not have been carrying that weight. That should have been the responsibility of those coaches. which I heard one was sexually. I mean, you know what? That pisses me off too, but that's another thing. But the thing about it is, we have to be careful when we do have, black individuals who are showcasing their talent. They're doing great things. And we have to teach, because no offense, I'm going to say it anyway, white people have guidance and instructions of how to do it because they don't have the weight that black influencers or black people who are high profile have when it comes to success. There's sort of a unspoken expectation, and you have to be perfect. Every black person can identify with this when I say this. If you're black and you're in corporate America, you're in blue collar, white collar America, whatever job you're doing, whatever career field you're in, you understand that as a black person, if they say the house has to be 2 stories, you have to build the house 10 stories. You have to build a 10-story house. If there has to be a 2 feet fire, you have to build a house that is 9 feet, and you have to do twice as much interior and exterior. If they say chop 20 logs, you got to chop 60 logs. That's just how it is when you're a black person working in this country. So we have to find a way to say that we are encouraging each other and providing support, and understanding that we cannot put too much weight on people when they become high profile, to where it is so much pressure that they feel that they have to be perfect. Because anytime we engage in any activity, any job, we're already under the gun of having to feel like we have to be darn near perfect in everything we do. How we talk, how we act, how we walk. We have to do the same thing in regards to how we communicate with each other. You can't hang around too many black people. You can't, you just have to always be mindful of where you are, who you're talking to, what you're doing, because in the back of your mind, you're worried about, okay, if I'm talking to this person, these 2 people are black. If I'm talking to them for too long, is there going to be a stereotype that there's a black thing going over here? So now let me go find somebody else of a different race and culture to talk to. It's a world we live in that other people don't understand. So we have to be mindful. I understand that we are looking for heroes, but we need to be careful. First of all, let me address the hero word real quick, because everybody, I think the word hero has been minimized so bad that it doesn't even exist anymore. So if we're looking for people to inspire us, looking for people that we are to look up to, we have to be careful not to throw the weight of the world on their shoulders. We have to be careful not to expect perfection. But we have to become social media emotional supporters of them without putting the weight in the world on their shoulders. We have to allow room for flaws and mistakes, and help them and motivate them to get back up and not just tear them down. So I hope this made sense. I know I kind of bounced around a little bit, but I just felt that need to be said, man, because I just noticed that anytime you become black and you're a black person and you reach a high profile status, you are automatically embarked with the weight of the black community on your shoulder, and the world is watching. Some cheering, and the majority are waiting for you to fail. They want to see you fail. They rather see somebody else achieve. It's okay to help them reach their goal and win, but it's not okay for you to be the focal point, because you're supposed to crack. You're supposed to quit. You're supposed to give up. So that's why we have to be strong emotional supporters. But it shouldn't be like this. It should be that no matter what your color is, we support each other, and there are no biases, there are no stereotypes, there are no preconceived notions about people. It's looking at a person for who they are, like that's a good person. Let's invest in that person. Let's support that person, regardless of color. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. There's a hidden agenda 9 times out of 10. And oftentimes the agenda is how to get the most out of you and then discard you. It's unfortunate, but that's true. That is the truth. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Keep your heads up, stay motivated, find ways to support each other, inspire each other, because that's what we need to do. And I'll be back with another video.
It's time to tune in. This here's so fire. Empower your voice to inspire. Yeah, RMBI Gym.